In the beginning, the automobile was a combination of tires, seats, a metal frame, and powered by an internal combustion engine. We use these metallic machines to haul goods, transport friends and family, and travel the world. Fast forward a few decades, and modern automobiles are now a collection of sensors, subsystems, and computers that process information in real time. These systems work in conjunction with vehicle manufacturers, parts makers, and analytics firms to create an automobile that can tell you of an upcoming issue miles in advance. This begs the question, can vehicles predict the future? We take a deep dive in the world of predictive maintenance, big data, and answer that question in this episode of Loaded and Rolling. This Loaded and Rolling episode was made possible by our sponsor, Emerge. Focused on empowering and growing meaningful supply chain relationships, Emerge is proud to sponsor the Loaded and Rolling community. Through its freight procurement platform, Emerge offers solutions that enhance the spot and contract procurement process, enabling shippers to make the most strategic decisions possible. Learn more at www.emergemarket.com. Good afternoon and welcome to Loaded and Rolling. I'm your host, Thomas Wasson, enterprise trucking carrier expert here at FreightWaves. Welcome to the second automobile revolution. The first one was the creation of the internal combustion engine and the perfecting of mass production assembly lines to create that modern automobile. The current revolution takes that concepts and adds sensors, telematics, onboard computers, and creates new opportunities for these vehicles, with recent breakthroughs in self-driving electric cars and trucks, as well as other technologies. So what we need to do is understand the ramifications that this creates, because these vehicles create a near endless stream of data, and it allows those with the right tools the chance to literally predict the future. The modern automobile can tell you about road conditions, engine performance, tread and wear analysis, detect oncoming traffic, and provide recommendations on when to replace critical parts before being stranded on the side of the road. Joining us today to help us understand these changes and opportunities is Erez Lorber, CEO of Questar, an AI-powered automotive solutions company that converts vehicle data into real-world solutions. Erez has over 20 years of domestic and international management experience and brings a wealth of knowledge into the inner workings of electric vehicle technology, preventative maintenance technologies, and electric manufacturing. Erez, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Super excited to have you on. You know, starting out, when we're talking about predicting the vehicle's health, is there any piece of hardware, is there anything that from your experience is the most important thing that comes to mind?
We have a lot of experience working with vehicles of any type, light commercial, heavy commercial, private vehicles, all over the world in different missions, different geographies. There are a lot of very important subsystems in a vehicle. Obviously, wheel, tires, brakes, and coolant, oil, a lot of different important subsystems. But I think that in order to have the right uptime and prevent failures, in order to cut cost on the total cost of ownership, you need to actually understand how everything comes together. What are the ripple effects of something that is going wrong in one part of the vehicle, how it affects other parts of the vehicle. And this is where we come into play with our predictive vehicle health management capabilities using AI, machine learning, and predominantly a lot of experience with over 20 billion miles of data that we have accumulated over the years.
That's what's really interesting, because I feel like there's so many different things collecting the data that not many people really understand how to structure it and make sense of it all. Is that the biggest challenge, is just a lot of companies, they make the product, but you just can't figure out what to actually do or see what it's saying to you?
Well, there is the question of different protocols, different sensors, and how to communicate and how to understand and sort of decipher this language, I would say, this new language that is becoming more and more complex with new types of vehicles where, as is often heard, the new type of vehicles are sort of data centers on wheels, gadget on wheels. It's a lot about software, and it's a lot about vast amounts of data that are flowing around from different sensors, different car computer controllers, etc. And you're absolutely right. I mean, if you look at OEMs, they integrate a lot of these systems together to manufacture a vehicle. But then, every vehicle that gets on the road, maybe it's driven by different drivers. One, a good driver that understands how to efficiently drive the vehicle, and another one that is not a great driver. And then you start to get a lot of different phenomena, a lot of different failure points that are differ from a car, from a vehicle to a vehicle, from different cars. And to make sense out of all this huge data is very challenging. This is actually what we're doing. We're turning preventative maintenance into predictive maintenance.
Well, speaking with that data and predicting it, you guys are collecting huge amounts of data, you're filling in with AI. Were there any surprises that you found once you started sifting through it?
I'm not sure it surprises, but what surprised me is that you can find companies that are focused on AI and machine learning, but are not very familiar with the automotive space. And then you can find a lot of companies that are very familiar with the automotive technologies and space, but they don't have the capabilities in unstructured data, in AI and machine learning. And in order to understand how to apply these real advanced tools, cutting edge tools, to get significant insights, actionable insights for fleet operators, for OEMs, for tier ones in the automotive industry, you actually need to combine both. That's the only way where you can target these tools, these advanced tools and capabilities to the right pain points. We have this combination of understanding customer pain points, understanding where things could go wrong, and then couple that experience with the right tools. We're sort of like a physician, I would say, that is connected to a vehicle and looking very deeply into anything that can go wrong and understanding immediately how to connect the dots correctly so that we understand what the impacts could be like. So back to your question, we're not surprised, but we are surprised with what you can get from this combination of capabilities and experience, to the level of how many actionable insights we can generate for fleet operators or OEMs, things that I'm not sure that all our sort of potential customers realize today. The power of data and the power of taming, this beast of huge, vast amounts of data, big data, and understanding how to make sense out of it. So this is really the surprising part. How much you can still do that we didn't do before.
Well, it sounds like that's the biggest challenge is you can have people who can make the AI algorithms, but the algorithm is only as good as what you know to assign what this data is and kind of feed it into it so that way it can do it. So that's kind of where your experience comes in. If you guys have over 20 plus years, in this automotive space, if you know what to look for, it's just as meaningful with the AI versus having only experience and only the software.
Exactly. That's exactly the point. Um, if you look at OEMs, again, they have vast knowledge of vehicles, they have great engineering departments. We actually work together with them. It's not a competition, it's actually working together with them. And we have quite many customers who are using us, whether it's aftermarket, after sales application, in the production line. They're using our tools to get very significant information and data about their vehicles. Because if you look at OEMs, they manufacture a vehicle, they have some scenarios in mind, they try to test for it, they try to make sense of it and design it right, obviously. but then it goes out to many different customers in many different with many different uses. And again, as I've said before, many different geographies. A vehicle doesn't behave the same if it's in the Kalahari Desert or in Alaska or in San Francisco going up and down, or and with different drivers. So we actually combine all our deep diagnostic capabilities together with driver behavior and understanding how this man-machine interface works together and how to prevent problems before they happen, with all this experience that is targeted towards real life scenarios of vehicles operating in different missions.
Well, it
Yeah.
reminds me, it's like the holy grail almost, because if you're able to do per truck, like I worked at a large company with 5,000 trucks, and you would have
Mhm.
drivers switch trucks, but you never would know why they would break down. And so the technology, what you're telling me almost is we now can tell by a profile if a driver's driving efficiently or not, and then we can kind of infer from previous examples what may happen if we keep doing this, right?
That's correct. It's one thing is the driver aspect of it, because exactly as you pointed out, the driver influences a lot of the vehicle health, right? I mean, again, depends how you drive it. Do you use a retarder? Do you use your brakes right? I mean, definitely in heavy, light and heavy commercial vehicles, the driver has a real big, major impact on the vehicle health. But it's also understanding how to detect anomalies using the AI technology also with new vehicle production. And we are engaged already in some very, very interesting projects with large OEMs on how to detect anomalies in different subsystems that are very hard to find. I mean, a human cannot really go and sift through these enormous data sets. You need to have the tools that can understand how to identify the root cause, how to identify the anomalies, and then be able to make sense of it. And later on, these things are could be useful in the design of new vehicles, could be used for operations of large fleets. We work with hundreds of thousands of vehicles globally. So we know how to take all these things and look at the things that are most critical for efficient use of large fleets. Many companies over the years, TSPs, were focusing on um, accurate location, on track and trace sort of resource optimization of fleets. Today, it's a lot about the uptime of fleets and the lowering of the total cost of ownership. Because a truck can, get stuck for 2 days not performing its missions because of a part that cost $150. But still, it will be down for a long period of time, and that's the real damage. Same thing goes for warranty period. We disrupt warranty period where the OEM is providing a warranty for, let's say, 3 years, and then suffer major costs because of parts that are broken and because of many different things that we can actually alert beforehand and prevent altogether. So that's what we are focused on.
I'm liking the applications of that because I've had issues where trucks have went down, but the data wasn't there to find out why. It's like, you're sick. We're already sick, but wish we'd known that we had a sniffle 500 miles back, so we could have done something about it. Have you noticed I know with COVID and the disruptions, has it put in focus now that trucks are on vehicles are on the road longer, it's harder to get new ones. Is there now new interest in suddenly saying, hey, I need to, start really paying attention to this?
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of interest there because of many different reasons. By the way, you've mentioned COVID. COVID gave a real boost to last mile deliveries, right? So now you have all these light commercial vehicles and sometimes even heavy commercial vehicles um, going into condensed urban areas where sometimes they park halfway on a sidewalk. They do a lot of braking, acceleration, deceleration, all these things could have a real impact on vehicle health. And we're able to monitor it much closer. In a way, things were dealt with on the maintenance part more in a sort of a statistical way, right? So it's like physicians, like doctors that you go to and you say you have a headache, and they say, oh, okay, so we'll prescribe something for you, because they sort of operate statistically. It's not that they really know you for many years. They did a thorough check for 4 hours of your body. They understand what affects what, and maybe it's just a symptom and not the root cause. And this is why today we start to look at very different approach, not only to day-to-day operation of fleets and vehicles, but even as to periodical maintenance. I mean, today most of the protocols will let you, take your car or vehicle to a garage after a certain mileage and replace things that maybe should not be replaced, and not deal with things that could go wrong in a very short period of time. We can bring all this maintenance concept into a much more accurate per vehicle approach, where you really deal with the things that you need to deal with, and you don't spend money on things that will not help you not to get stuck, or a truck that will go out because it seems to be working and functioning, and then after a certain mileage will break down because nobody really identified something that is starting to percolate, starting to happen, that may cause a problem down the road. If you are very deep into the diagnostics and with the right tools, you can actually monitor constantly where the vehicle is, what is the state of health of the vehicle, and then you can predict things from happening. So we used to say knowing in advance is the only way to know, and this is what we bring to the market.
That's really interesting. I was thinking, your analogy with the doctors. If you come in and you're sick, and they're basically going to give you something based on this prescriptive thing, where, oh well, if everybody has this, I just do this without looking. And so almost you could tell me that, and maybe a stretch, my car may be better known about what's wrong with it than a lot of times than what I would be in some regards, just because a lot of even predicting versus preventing with the technology.
Well, exactly. Exactly right. And if you take it to the next step of, let's say, autonomous vehicles, nobody will sit there to smell that there's that something is burned, right? Today you have drivers, and the driver sort of leaves the vehicle, understand what is going on. So with all the advanced systems that are put in place for autonomous driving and getting it to level 5 and all these things, still you're sort of in a way losing this human component. And the only way to make sure that everything runs smoothly is by applying these type of technologies to maintenance, to car vehicle management, and this is really what we're doing. We can tell you exactly what needs to be fixed and when, and that's very, very important. Like the analogy of any fire could be put off by a glass of water if you get there on time. This is the same thing. There are so many different processes going on in vehicles simultaneously with different protocols, different sensors, different subsystems, that you do need to have somebody that looks at all these things and understand how to identify problems when they're just starting, so you can eliminate them altogether. But if you cannot even eliminate them, at least you can provide an alert that is way beyond just standard alerts that you can see today in a vehicle dashboard. So you can provide these great actionable insights, and then you would save a lot of money and a lot of downtime.
So I always wondered, especially we research autonomous Class 8 trucks and everything, and a big thing that people were asking is, what happens if it has a tire go out? What happens if it breaks down? So kind of what you're saying is, you almost have to have this predictive component in. That way the truck knows statistically through all the data that it's time to route myself in before I get routed on the side of the road or stuck.
Correct. So these capabilities can help a lot with, again, saving vehicles from getting stuck, saving owners from losing a lot of money on, engines that will get on fire because of a reason that you could have prevented 2 months before the incident happened. It's really a win-win for everybody, and it's also a win-win for the car manufacturers, for the vehicle manufacturers, because perhaps they do some things that are over-engineered and they can save money on these things, or perhaps there's something that they need to take into account, which is affected by other, parts of the vehicle that not necessarily you made the linkage between the two, but now that they see a very accurate diagnostic of what caused what and the cause and effect thing, then obviously it helps the OEMs, it helps the tier ones, and it helps the end customers, eventually the large fleets, and everybody wants the stickiness to customers. Everybody wants to provide better service, better experience. The type of things that we bring to the market as a leader in predictive vehicle health management are exactly what will get your customers to be very happy. And that's what we're trying to do to our customers.
I think that's really interesting because I haven't seen a lot of, especially in the space, the ability to predict it. And we're collecting all that data, especially with customers. Is it kind of randomized for a security standpoint? I guess it's all anonymized. Is there ever any concerns about the privacy of the data, or is it, I guess as this technology comes on, are there ever any worries about making sure that, only the right people are seeing it?
Yeah, so first of all, of course, we're always looking at GDPR, looking at privacy rules and regulations. And in our case, it's data. We don't know who the driver is. We don't, we don't have their pictures. We don't have a photo of them. We don't know their names. It's all about data. So everything we do has nothing really to do with privacy. It's all about the vehicle. State of health. It's all about understanding how to get and how to accumulate a lot of data from many different sensors. By the way, it's not just from the vehicle itself. In the very near future, we will get inputs from smart city, sensors, from weather alerts, from many, many different things that could affect the vehicle. And this is really what we're focused on. We're focused on the vehicle, and we're focused on how the vehicle is being driven. It's not about a person or a specific driver.
It's more of a VIN number, a part number, a sensor number, and it's just telematics being collected and not, you don't care who's in the seat. You're just telling you what's going on in the seat.
Correct.
I think that's really cool. Do you see, you're talking about working on, incorporating weather predictions. Is there anything in the next 6 months to 2 years coming across the horizon we should be looking for? Because it seems to me, I had no idea that this technology is actually quite robust, right now.
Yeah, so there are so many opportunities out there once you know how to deal with, again, big data. It doesn't really matter where you get it from. It matters how you connect the dots. It matters how you apply the data that you get, how you can find and recognize the patterns, how you can find the anomalies from unstructured data, from huge sets of data that you need to work with, understand the context of things, and then understand the meaning of it. So it could be from the vehicle itself, and it could be from other sources. I think we're fairly advanced with applying the technology, but it will still take some time until everything will be connected together. The smart city sensors, the vehicle sensors, inputs from traffic lights, input from road conditions, and many other factors. But the future is absolutely there. I mean, the tools are there, the technology is there. We just need to make sense out of all these things. And we start with being very focused on vehicle health. and predictive maintenance, but obviously going all the way to prescription, going all the way to incorporating many different sensors is just a matter of time.
Thank you so much, Erez. I'm really excited to see how this comes along, especially not only the question we asked was, can we predict the future? And to me, it feels like a resounding yes right now. So
Yes, I mean, yes, that is correct. I agree with that.
I'm excited. We'll stay tuned. Thanks so much for coming on the show, and definitely looking forward to watching how Questar develops and continues to grow. That's something I'm going to put on my list. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Pleasure.
That's a wrap for Loaded and Rolling today. You can catch us normally Monday at 2:30 Eastern Time every single Monday. Check out the newsletter as well. And I'm your host, Thomas Wasson. Join us next week. We'll do it live.